Hi guys, today is Wednesday, January 31st. This is Rozara's Investments, inspired by my daughter, and my name is Ara, and we are in the middle of a huge week for company earnings. So I have made a lot of trades. I have bought and sold stock, I have bought and sold options, I have bought call spreads, and I'd just like to tell you guys quickly about some of the trades that I've made because some of them are quite exciting. So the stocks, or some of the stocks that I'll be talking about today, are listed on the board behind me. About a week ago, I made a video called 3 Great Chinese Stocks, or something along that lines. And the 3 Chinese stocks are listed on the left, Baozun, Baidu, and YY. And I did buy options in all 3 of those stocks, and I do expect them to do very well by May, June, or July. The dates of all the options are varied, but I am very, very excited about those 3 companies, and if you are more interested, I did provide some in-depth details in the 3 best Chinese stocks to buy video. So those are probably the 3 investments that I'm most excited about. One big trade that I made yesterday was Align Technology, ALGN, just reported earnings after the bell on Tuesday. And they reported great earnings. Basically, their revenues and earnings are growing like crazy. There's all different percentages to look at, but it's in the ballpark of like 40%. So they are doing fantastic. They sell those clear braces as opposed to the metal braces. And one big source of their growth is international sales, and another big source of their growth is teenagers. I think teenagers are becoming a bigger and bigger percentage of their overall revenue. So they are doing fantastic in absolutely every category, and the stock was in the ballpark of $270 yesterday. So I was not really thinking about it. It was a stock that I owned a couple of shares of, so I kind of had my eye on it, and I know of it because I've made options trades on Align Technology in the past. But when they reported earnings, and these were absolutely fantastic numbers, phenomenal results. So after the bell, and I usually don't trade after the bell, but after the bell, the stock dropped to about $257. At first, it was $270 at the market close, and then it popped up to about $290. And then for some reason, after the bell, it dropped down to $257, $258 in that range. So I just thought to myself, I can't believe this company did so amazing. And on top of that, they raised their guidance for the next quarter. All the analysts are wrong for quarter 1. They were all predicting 88 cents. And the company itself said next quarter they would make 96 cents. So amazing numbers across the board. And the stock drops to about 257. So I did not even have enough money in my account. So I use margin, which I very, very rarely do. Margin is when you borrow money from your brokerage. I borrowed money from Fidelity. And I borrowed $25,700 to buy 100 shares of the stock. So I am very happy that I did so, because about 16 hours later, and I noticed that the stock was up to 267, around that level. And so what I did was I ended up selling 84 of my shares back for almost $1,000 profit. And I decided to keep 16 shares that I don't have to use margin to own. So I own those shares out right now. So that was a great trade that I made. And overall, I don't want to count my profits before I actually get them. But I did actually make about $800 and something profit, and I kept a couple shares for myself. So that was one time that me kind of having my being in tune with the market, watching CNBC, paying attention to earnings, that was one time that directly caused me to make some money. And this is a very, very good company, so I would not mind owning this company forever, or at least close to forever, for a long time anyway. Another company that reported earnings, I believe it was Tuesday morning or Monday night, I think it was Tuesday morning, was GLW, which I believe stands for glassware, but the name of the company is Corning. And they make the glassware, they make the Gorilla Glass for Apple and a little bit for Samsung. They make fiber optic cables for Verizon, and they do a bunch of other stuff. They make basically like those little beakers and stuff for, I don't even know what you call it, for it's a life sciences division, and those medical tubes and stuff. They make stuff like that. So almost all their divisions grew, and their revenue did grow very nicely. I think it's in the ballpark of 7%. and they took a big write down because of the new tax changes that Congress passed. So it looks like they didn't do as well as they actually did, but their earnings and revenue growth was phenomenal. So I did buy more options in Corning, and that is the equivalent of buying lots and lots of shares. For those of you that don't know options, everyone always asks me, I don't know options, but it's very complicated. If you're not advanced investor, just never buy options, just don't even deal with it. But I did buy options in Corning, and those are not doing so good, but I do have them for a few months. So I'm pretty excited about them. Another one of my biggest investments is right below it, CRUS. And this was probably my biggest investment a month ago. And this one has been kicking my ass, honestly. I thought that they sell the audio chips. CRUS stands for Cirrus Logic, and they sell the audio chips for the iPhone X and iPhone 8 and stuff like that. So I thought this would do a lot better than it did. I had the chance to partially get out around $54, and I decided to not sell even more when it went up to $55, and I should have. I owned a lot of options on that, and that went down to $50. So I got my ass kicked on that one. So, and I still have some time. They don't expire until March 16, but I shouldn't complain because I am up very well this year so far. But I would be up that much more if Cirrus did well. I could have the chance to be up like $30,000 or $40,000 this month, and I'm very disappointed that I am not up like huge. So, continuing with the list, I did buy an option in Apple. Me and my buddy we went half on that, and they are reporting results on Thursday around 4:30 p.m., 4:15 p.m. THO stands for Thor. Thor is a competitor to Winnebago. They make RVs, recreational vehicles, and if you would have invested in Thor or Winnebago 5 years ago, then you would have actually done better than Tesla investors, amazingly. So it doesn't always pay off to invest in the hot stock. Sometimes the boring company, like a little old RV maker, is actually a better investment. They are growing revenues like crazy in the 20% ballpark. They're growing earnings, and they do pay a dividend. And their stock dropped recently due to concerns of inventory. An analyst said that they had too much inventory on hand, so that stock dropped. So I did buy one option. Me and my buddy went half on it. We paid $2,150 for the option, so that's equivalent to buying 100 shares. And I also, with my same buddy that I bought the options with in Apple and Thor, I also bought some interesting stuff. In Baidu, I bought one option when it was around the $260 price. And then, against my wishes, Baidu went down to about $245. So I was very disappointed, first of all, and I can't ignore my feelings when I buy an option and I want the stock to go up, but then it goes down. But I am a seasoned investor and have been doing this for about 10 years, so I do know how to handle these situations. And even though Monday and Tuesday were absolutely terrible days, overall I probably lost about $10,000 in those 2 days, or $10,000 in value, $10,000 in paper losses. So that sucked. But what I've noticed is that when these situations happen, this is usually an opportunity to invest more. And in hindsight, you look back on the terrible days and you would have said to yourself, like, oh wow, I wish I bought more. So me and my buddy, we actually bought something called call spreads. So I bought 2 call spreads myself on Baidu, and I paid a couple $1,000s on those, and I'm very excited about that. But then I told my buddy about it, and we actually together bought 3 more call spreads. So to quickly go over that, we bought strike 230, we sold strike 250, and that $20 range only cost us $1,000 per call spread, which is very, very interesting because at the time Baidu was trading for about 244. So I intuitively, when I looked, I thought it would cost about $1,400 each, and it only cost me $1,000 each, which I don't know, that seems like a deal that's too good to be true. So I may buy more. So I have a lot of stuff coming up in the first quarter, and I'm very, very excited. For new investors, remember the best thing to invest in is plain old boring index funds. If you have some extra money, buy some individual stocks. I'm not recommending any stocks to you, but just in general, stocks are a good investment over the long term, like 10 or 20 years. Thanks for subscribing, and thanks for sharing.